Attend the world's best business workshop led by America's #1 business coach for free by subscribing on iTunes and leaving us an objective review. Claim your tickets by emailing us proof that you did it and your contact information to info@thrivetimeshow.com.
All right, Thrive Nation, welcome back to the conversation. It is the Thrive Time Show on your podcast download. Now, we've talked on previous podcasts about the importance of making a wow experience for each and every client. But what I see all the time, Marshall, is I see clients that they personally can wow their customers through their own personality, through their own demeanor, through their own aura, but they don't have a system in place that allows their team to wow people. So what we want to do is, now that you've created a wow moment for your client, you want to create a wow checklist so that you're wowing your customers systematically, whether you are personally working with the customer or not. So walk me through how to make a checklist to wow each and every customer.
Well, because physicians went to 9 years of medical school, they probably don't need checklists. And because pilots have logged hundreds of hours of flying, they probably don't need checklists either. Right.
Because they've been to a lot of school. They've
been to a lot of school.
They're past that.
Don't hold me accountable. I do it right every single time.
But then what happened was a guy by the name of Atul Gawande in 2008, he teamed up with the World Health Organization, and they agreed to work together to bring checklists to 8 hospitals around the world. And during the 6 months that they insisted on the use of checklists, deaths fell by 47%.
Deaths?
Deaths.
He reduced the amount of deaths by 47%.
And post-surgical complications dropped by 36%. He went on to report in his book called The Checklist Manifesto that the volume and complexity of what we know has now exceeded our individual ability to deliver its benefits correctly, safely, and reliably. So, Marshall, it's almost impossible even for surgeons to execute succinctly, correctly, and accurately without a checklist.
Well, here's the deal. If you are God's gift to wowing, okay, whether it's you're a contractor, whether it is that you provide a service, or maybe you're even selling a product, and your product is the best product in the world at whatever it is that it does.
Around the world, around the world.
If you do not have a checklist for that wow, you're always going to be the one that is the slave to your business. You are going to work for your business. Your business is not going to work for you.
Another example, Reid Hoffman. This is the guy who founded LinkedIn, one of the part of the original team, the PayPal Mafia, as it's called, who helped start PayPal. That would be Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, and the group. He says, if your idea is a little better or a little faster, that doesn't mean anything. The competitive differentiators that matter are 10 times greater. If your idea doesn't offer that, then you shouldn't. Or then you should. It says if your idea doesn't offer that 10 times greater experience, you should be really paranoid. That's not a good one. Otherwise, it won't drive adoption. People trying it out.
I'm going to go off on
by
this
customers, most especially, or investors or employees. He's saying, Marshall, you got to wow people.
Oh my gosh. So I talk to business owners all day about this. I ask them, what is your value differentiation? What is it that you do differently in order to create a product or a service that people want? They go, well, I'm just a little bit better at customer service.
Just a little bit.
My quality is just a little bit better. I am
just a little bit.
My communication's a little bit better.
I teamed up with 50 Cent. It's just a little bit.
This is what Reid Hoffman is saying, is if you are not 10 times better, not just 1 unit better, but 10 times better than your
10
competition.
10 times better.
Then it is not a value differentiator. It is not a wow. You should not be doing business.
But shh. Just let it happen. Chup, I want him to zip it. Because Atul Gawande, the best-selling author of Checklist Manifesto, he says, we don't like checklists. They can be painstaking. For those of you listening, I have a live turkey in the studio. That's the sound. We don't like checklists. They can be painstaking. They're not much fun. But I don't think the issue here is mere laziness. There's something deeper, more visceral going on. When people walk away not only from saving lives, this is a guy who is a professor at the Harvard Medical School. He says when people are walking away from not only saving lives, but from making money, it feels somehow beneath us to use a checklist, an embarrassment. It runs counter to the deeply held beliefs about how the truly great among us, those we aspire to be, handle situations of high stakes and complexity. The truly great are daring. They improvise. They don't stick to checklists and protocols. Maybe our idea of heroicism needs updating. He goes on. He writes this book, Checklist Manifesto Will Set You Free. He says, we brought a 2-minute checklist into the operating room in 8 hospitals. I worked with a team of folks that included Boeing Airlines, the people who makes the airplanes, Boeing, to show us how they do it. And we just made sure that the checklist had some basic things. Make sure the blood is available, antibiotics are there, how did it work? We got better results. You understand they decreased the amount of deaths in the hospital by 47% just using a checklist. So now let's talk about wowing customers. I'm going to give you an example, Marshall, and I want you to help me implement it. I remember I had the epiphany to wow my customers at DJ Connection when I read a book called Think and Grow Rich. It was rekindled, that idea was rekindled when I read the book called Raving Fans, which so many people have read. So what I did is after the wedding, I wrote down on a piece of paper, I said, what I want to do is I want to send the bride a CD of all of the songs he played at her wedding, which turned out to be illegal, but it was a thing. And I wanted to give them an Outback gift certificate, and I wanted to send them a handwritten note. And I told the team, guys, after the wedding, I want you to write the bride a handwritten note, provide a CD of all the songs. I've already have a guy working that night. He'll just give it to you, put it in an envelope, right? It'll be nice. Have a cover printed on the CD with their name on it. You send that out. You sign the thank you card, and you send out the Outback gift card. You put it in the envelope, boom. Marshall, what do you think the issue was with implementing that with 80 disc jockeys?
Well, first of, if you're going to send a thank you note and you're leaving it up to the DJs.
Do you remember this happening?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, my gosh.
If you leave it up to them as to what to say in that note, it is going to be just like your phone answering script.
Now, I'm not.
Hey, thanks.
Listen, I'm not. I am not exaggerating. The DJs, when we looked at it, we looked at the note.
Yeah.
They wrote on some of them. I'm not kidding. I'm going to give you some of the quotables.
I remember this.
One bride, I got a complaint. She said the DJ was awesome. In the letter he wrote her, he said, you looked so hot on the night of your wedding, but you looked hotter on the night before when you were at that rehearsal. I mean, you are hot. I mean, he's so lucky. You are just hot. And he goes on about how hot she is. And that was his thank you card.
That's the customer wow.
Did he sign it with his number at the bottom?
So, okay. So again, Marshall, when you have it, you have to make a checklist for what to say.
Right. So I'm going to break this down, and this is the concept this is what everybody needs to understand. You must manage the strategy.
Oh, come on now.
And delegate the execution.
Oh, say it again.
Manage the strategy and delegate the execution.
So you can't hire somebody to make your strategy for you.
That is right. And so this is what we did with DJ. And I remember this. You said you can either write A or you can write B.
Right.
Okay. This is template A or this is template B. And
dude, then we asked him to mail it. We asked him to write the address on the envelope. And a lot of the guys couldn't write on an envelope.
Most people couldn't write letters.
I bet you 50% of the disc jockeys could not address an envelope.
They're like, where do I put it? These are real things.
These are college graduates.
So
it was a good job to you. Good job, ORU. We had a lot of ORU graduates. I'm not kidding. That could not write legibly.
What hand do I hold the pen in?
Just crazy. So Napoleon Hill writes, render more service than you are paid for, and eventually you'll be paid more for less services rendered. So you want to wow them. I get it. So I'm going to walk you through some ample examples that are very hard to execute until you get it. Once you get it, it's easy. Okay, here we go. I must gather a review from every client. Can we say that's a move we want to do? We want to gather a review from every client?
Yeah,
Gotta do it.
So let's do a Google search right now, Chup, for carpet cleaning quotes, because I want to see how many reviews I have today.
That's
for OxyFresh. I want you to know. I want to know how many reviews do I have today.
I checked earlier.
I just talked to John today. He's headed off on a trip to celebrate his wife's birthday. I just want to know how many reviews does my main man Jonathan Barnett have today?
126,812.
And we are top in the world for the phrase carpet cleaning quotes today. So what I want to do is I'm going to pull it up on the big screen here so you guys can all see it. So if you go to spyfoo.com, this is a free tool that you can check out that allows you to see the original web traffic that a website gets per day, per week, per month, whatever. Right now, we are getting 203,000 website visitors to the website for the first time.
That's a couple.
As a result of those reviews. So this is how you do it, though. After the carpet's cleaned, the technician has to say, were you happy with the service? And they say, I think so. And they say, hey, well, let me walk you through. I want to do a walk through the house with you so you can look at the carpet we cleaned and see if you're happy. And if you are, I'd just like to get your feedback. So you walk through, they do an inspection, and the customer, typically a woman, will say, yeah, I liked it. It was nice. I appreciate you cleaning my house. They say, well, hey, would you like me to take X number of dollars off the bill? And then right there they say, well, yeah. They say, well, cool. If you could leave me a Google review or a Facebook review, I could do that for you. Just leave me an objective review. That's how you do it. But there's got to be a penalty if somebody doesn't get the review. So another example would be a real estate agent I worked with. We did a free pizza on the moving day. So if somebody bought a house, we did a free pizza. We would deliver when the people are moving. You move in your house and you're trying to get everything in that U-Haul. You get a free pizza delivered. What was the hard part about executing that, Marshall?
You got to make sure that they do it.
Right. People would forget every time. I'm not kidding. There's one lady who would say, well, I just don't know. What are your tips for remembering? I'm like, listen, we're going to close a house every day, every other day, probably three a week. When the house closes, you're not going to get paid your commission until you order the pizza. Oh, okay, well, that just doesn't seem very nice. No, it's cool because if you forget to deliver the pizza, I'll forget to pay you.
Whoops.
Oh, done. Problem solved. Okay, so handwritten note, we talked about that. Again, what about sending a thank you video to every customer?
It's incredible.
It's
sending a welcome video.
That's over-delivering on your over-delivery.
I have one of my clients, every time he goes out and does a bid, he brings fresh cookies. Okay.
Oh, come on now.
And so they're like, you're here to quote me and you brought cookies? Okay, well, first
take my money. Take my money.
We'll take a good hard look at it.
Now, I want to make sure you're getting this. If you're a contractor and you're out there trying to get business, you're saying your guy brings free cookies, free fresh-baked cookies as part of the quoting process.
Yeah.
He doesn't bring an ambiguous van filled with candy.
No.
Okay,
or just like melted ice cream.
I just want to make sure that's not a tip. People are like, that's good. I should write that down. I'm going to get a brown van and offer candy to
If you
strangers.
just come in the van here, and I'll give you your quote. It's right in my mobile office right here.
Okay, so again, we're putting ample examples on the show notes where you can see the thank you videos that the billion-dollar company Warby Parker actually sends out. So when you actually buy a pair of glasses from Warby Parker, they've been known to send thank you videos. You've got to create a wow checklist. Now, Marshall, on the show notes, do we not have an example of how to make a wow checklist?
You got to have a wow checklist. You got to have a downloadable. You got to have these things to hold your team accountable to doing it every time.
Chup, what are we talking about next, my man? I'm pretty excited. What are we talking about next?
We're going to get into buying life insurance and why that's important.
Take the room down a notch. Buying life insurance.
Boo.
Because you're alive. That's why.
And then we're going to list
back
out
up.
all of the items on the periodic table slowly.
And then I'm going to
But
scrub
with
my
gusto.
eye.
But with gusto.
Stay tuned. It's the Thrivetime Show on your radio. See, I'm more than just a rhymer, like a horse with blinders. Focused on the Thrivetime Show, it's where you find us. He be the Z and I be the C. Teaching business skills from A to Z. We both grew up poor, but we're poor no more. The goal of this show is to help you score. I couldn't see the light until my son could see, but I learned to rock the mic in the high school scene. A young DJ with a $1 billion dream, numb to the pain that rejection brings. So I